The faithful who have walked with Christ before us are actually a gift of God for us to help us get those things that are weighing us down or the sins tangling us up off of our life and open our eyes and strengthen us for our race. It's just learning from their example and letting God speak to us from their lives.
Welcome to the Journey with the Giant podcast. I am Robert Prince, and I'm so glad you're joining us as we continue exploring what it means to walk with someone from the great cloud of witnesses. In this series, we're talking about the brand new book by Lori G. Melton, Journey with the Giant, Choose Your Guide, Pursue Your Purpose, and Grow in Your Walk with God. In Hebrews 12:1, we read about that great cloud of witnesses who surround us. And yes, the author of Hebrews is referring back to the heroes of faith listed in chapter 11, but I believe it goes even further than that. It includes anyone who has lived a life of faithfulness to God. Those who have gone before us leave behind a trail of wisdom and courage for us to follow. And that's really what Journey with the Giant is all about. Learning from their lives, walking in their footsteps, and discovering how their journey can shape ours. So whether you've been longing to deepen your walk with God, or you're simply curious about what it means to journey with the spiritual giant, you are in the right place. Today, Lori is flying solo, answering some of the most frequently asked questions about Journey with the Giant. So let's join her now.
Hey friends, this is Lori Melton, and I wanted to invite you to this very special episode of Journey with the Giant. Today we're doing something a little different. While we were preparing for our next episode, we ran into some technical difficulties. But actually, no worries, because this gave us a wonderful opportunity to explore an important topic that's kind of been going through my mind, and that's the Journey with the Giant frequently asked questions that I've been hearing from pre-readers and those just discovering the book. But before we jump into those, I wanted to share a moving experience that I had this weekend that reminded me why this work matters so deeply. I was out shopping for an outfit for the Journey with a Giant book launch celebration when I ended up in a dressing room with two other women. One was preparing for a family photo, and the other was reluctantly shopping for a funeral, unfortunately. Later, after we checked out, I stepped into another store. I was headed down the mall. It was an outdoor mall, and I'm walking down this cement, and I passed a store, and then I thought, oh man, I need to go in that store. So I turned around and went back into the store. And when I did, the younger woman that was headed to the funeral had also stopped there. I saw her across the store. And as I browsed the racks, she walked up to me and said, hey, I heard you talking about your book, and my sister was murdered a couple of months ago on the other side of the state, and I'm headed to the funeral. And I've been having trouble connecting with my faith and with God, and I wondered if maybe your book could help. Wow. What a moment that was. I stood there with her in that holy moment, and I said, yes, I think it could, because whether we're soaring in our faith or we're at a time when we're in trauma or things aren't working the way we think that they should, and we're not able to connect in our normal ways, God can reach us and bring healing and speak to us in new ways through this practice. So we stood there talking for a little bit. My heart was just broken for this woman. And I had a Journey with a Giant postcard in my bag. And so I gave her one of those and I said, hey, my website is on here. Reach out to me. And you don't know what to say. I just said, hey, I will be praying for you. I'm so sorry for what you're going through, but yeah, really stay in touch. And so then we parted. And when I walked out of the store, I felt like the Holy Spirit whispered to me, you're going to be running into more people just like her. People in pain, disconnected from God, but longing for God. And Journey with a Giant is going to help. That moment reminded me of the reach and the healing this practice can have. I was gripped in that moment, in that it felt like a holy moment right there, walking down the corridor of this mall with the preciousness of this assignment, and just ask God to anoint and equip me for this sacred work. So I just wanted to share that with you. Experiences like that are exactly why I wanted to make this episode answering some of the most common questions that I've been hearing from pre-readers and those discovering Journey with a Giant, because I want to make it accessible, the most accessible that it can be for people who the Lord leads to it. So anyway, and I'm sure it will be helpful for you as well as you've been thinking about this practice and learning about it. So let's jump in. We're going to start with just basic questions. And the first one is, what is a giant? At first, many people think of characters they know from the Bible, like Ruth or David or the Apostle Paul. But the spiritual giants in Journey with a Giant extend beyond what we find in the Bible. And they include the millions of Christians who have walked faithfully with Christ and finished their race faithfully. And the cool thing is, and the surprising thing that people really just kind of lights people up when they hear it, is that normally we think of spiritual giants as people in full-time ministries, like pastors, theologians, missionaries. But the spiritual giants that we can choose from as we choose our giants aren't limited to those people, but they come from every occupation, country, and time period. So it just opens up a whole new world of people that God might want to shape our lives through. The second question I get is this practice biblical? I've never heard of, like most people will say, I've never heard of this. I don't know anyone who does this. Is this kind of like woo-woo? Are you talking to dead people? What's going on here when you say you're walking with a giant? Do you mean literally walking? Well, first of all, yes, it is biblical, but I understand that concern. I had the same one. The theme scripture is found in Hebrews 12, 1 and 2. And if you've listened to the other episodes, you've probably heard me say this. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin that so easily entangles us, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith. That's where we find that something that most of us have overlooked, that the cloud of witnesses, the faithful who have walked with Christ before us, are actually a gift of God for us to help us get those things that are weighing us down or the sins tangling us up off of our life and open our eyes and strengthen us for our race. It's just learning from their example and letting God speak to us from their lives. The next question I get sometimes is, so how do I find or choose my giant? Well, in chapter 1 of the book, I guide you through a step-by-step process to do that. Well, what if I don't know who my giant should be? Well, you know what? By the end of chapter 1, you will. And here's another tip for you. It can be normal to feel pulled. Some people, they go through the choosing process, the discernment process, and they know, okay, one person standing out to me, no doubt this is the one. Other people, and I would say many people, feel pulled toward other giants even when they choose their giant, because there's so many great people that you could choose. I totally understand that. But you'll find what we do is we come to the point where we need to choose, and then over time you'll notice that God perfectly orchestrated the giant that you chose. So we don't need to be afraid. I know it's something we get afraid of, and it's so crazy when we actually think about it. It's like, hey, God's directing your journey. Don't you believe that? Yes, we do. So what if someone picks the same giant that I want to choose? Say you're in a group or, some sort of situation like that, and there's two people that want the same one. Well, that's okay too, because your outcome will be completely unique because of who you are and the specific ways that God is working in your life. And sometimes it's even fun to see two people choose the same giant because they're going to have totally different experiences. So don't be worried about that at all. Just go, if you feel called to one person and somebody else in your group is going to choose the same person, go for it. It's going to be fun. So what if I start my giant with one giant and then I want to journey with a different giant? That's okay. Hold steady. Stay with the one you chose. I mean, I have been that person. I have been the person who says, I've been with Francis a long time now. Wouldn't it be better? There's so many great people out there to choose, and I love this other person over here. Can I just bounce over there? Would that really harm anything? Well, as my instructor encouraged me to hold steady with the giant I chose at the time, we can trust that God has guided our choice and is working through it, and that his ways are higher than ours. He knows way better than we do who we need to walk with and why. And I know in my experience that I just shared with you, oh my goodness, the fruit that came when I did hold steady with Francis that year, the best was yet to come. So go ahead. It's totally normal to doubt at times, but just hold steady and stay with them and bring it to God and trust him and watch what happens. So, okay, as far as the journey itself, how do I journey with a giant? What does that mean? Well, this is the cool thing. This is a totally spirit directed process. So there's no set template about how you're going to do it. But each month, I have a list of questions at the beginning of each chapter where you prayerfully, they're the same questions each month. They're really simple. And what you do is you pray, and then you choose what you're going to focus on from your giant's life and which resources you feel drawn to use. And then during the month, you're going to read, there's a weekly article in the book for every week. So you're going to read that weekly article. You're going to read about your giant from your resources. And you're going to journal your thoughts and any quotes that come to you and just engage with your giant story and however the spirit leads you. Some months it might include books, YouTube series, podcasts. So other months it could be artwork or maybe experimenting, trying and stepping into a spiritual practice that was strong in your giant's life that the spirit leads you to. So journeying will alternate between reading, studying, watching, and active engagement with some other area of your giant's life. So it's just a little adventure, and it's a journey, and it's going to unfold for you. I think you're going to love it. Can I do this by myself, or should I do it with a group? And how could I join a group if I wanted to? Well, the book works both ways. You can journey with a giant on your own, individually, or with others. I will say that doing it with a group can multiply your transformation and also magnify the joy of doing it. And they can also hold you accountable. So that's a great way to do it. I would highly recommend it. You know, our attention spans, especially in the age that we live in, are very short. So if you can find a couple of people, you can start a group by asking a few friends to join you using the discussion guide, 2-page free discussion guide that we provide. Or you could ask your church or a book group that you know of to start a group, or join a virtual group as they form. And there are some in the process right now. So is this hard? No, it's not hard. And the reason is because you are going to journey in the way that best fits you. You're going to, if you love studying, you're going to read more. Maybe you're going to read more books than someone else. If you're more of a, no, I'm more of a take things slow, smell the roses type of person, you could journey with just one book the whole year, believe it or not. And if you're less of a reader and more of an audio or a visual or hands-on learner, you can focus your journey on podcasts, YouTube videos, or experiential options. So it just will fit you. It's not hard because it fits you. You get to choose what fits you, how God created you. So what's the time commitment? How long does it take week to week? It takes about 20 minutes 3 times a week, I would say. That's what I instruct people. And it's designed as a 1-year journey. You can do it quicker if you don't have more time than that. But I do love the idea of a year-long journey because it lets God's work go deep. And over that much time, you really get to savor and to receive from your giant in incredible ways. So, yeah. And what should I expect to experience as a final outcome? Well, a life with God that feels more like an adventure is number one. New perspectives on my faith as my giants, how they experience God expands my view. growth in my own faith from my giant's relationships with God, increased empathy, and this is kind of was surprising to me. Increased empathy for myself and others as I learn from my giant's strengths and weaknesses. For me, I found that I embraced and accepted my humanity and others way more than I had before. And what a blessing that is to grow in that way. And finally, steps forward in your calling, guided by your giant's faithfulness. You'll be surprised, I think. The people that I've watched with giants so many times, the things that they're called to, the reason that God calls them to the giant he does is because there's steps in their becoming or in fulfilling their calling that he has for them to take that their giant can specifically encourage and strengthen them. So at the end of your journey with your giant, you'll find that you've taken more of those steps, and there is nothing more fulfilling than that. So where do I get the book? Is there a digital copy? Is there an audio version? Tell me about the resources. Well, the book is available at most retailers, including a print version, a Kindle version, and there's an audiobook. I was able to record an audiobook, and that is also going to be available, I think, a week before release. The audiobook will be available. And you can go to my website, lorigmelton.com, to the Journey with a Giant page to find links to all of those, or your favorite retailer. Just go to their website and type in Journey with a Giant, and you'll find it. Are there outside resources beyond the book that I can explore? Yes, there are, and we're developing more all the time, including this podcast series and also a free downloadable 2-page discussion guide I've just created that in the last month, and that's on my website on the Journey with a Giant page. Free download, simple template for just a couple of people to use together, or you can use it in larger groups. So that was a mouthful. I hope it was helpful to you and that these answers give you confidence to step into your own journey with a giant and answers the questions that you might be getting as you share about this book with other people. Now you'll have the answers on what those questions they may have for you. So order your copy today and then prayerfully choose your giant and see how God works in your life and in the lives of others that you walk with. You can join a friend, a small group, or just begin on your own, whatever the Spirit, however He's stirring you. And remember that the book and the discussion guide and the podcast episodes are all here to support you every step of the way. And so I put the links in the show notes for all kinds of great resources. Until next time, friends, remember that every moment is an invitation to draw closer to God and each other, and may you respond faithfully to each one. We'll see you next time.